Ladies and gentlemen, today is April 25th, 2019, at Cannon Building, room 121. We are gathering here for the 20 years of Falun Gong peaceful appeal 20 years ago. This week, Congress is in recess, so Congressman Posey cannot come, and he rented this room for us. And so I would like to thank you, Congressman Bill Posey of Florida, who reserved this room for us first. And it is our honor to have many distinguished speakers here with us. Our program and some of their remarks are available at the outside table, and also our programs also put on the table. Before we start, please turn off your cell phone and turn to the vibrate so we can start our forum. On April 25th, 1999, 10,000 Falun Gong practitioners traveled to the Chinese Central Appeals Office in Beijing to peacefully appeal to the Communist government to stop persecution of Falun Gong after a slew of wrongful arrests and negative media reports in the city of Tianjin. Even though the practitioners in Beijing were completely peaceful, their quiet demonstration angered then Chinese Communist Party (CCP) head Jiang Zemin. 3 months later, on July 20th, 1999, Jiang launched a nationwide persecution against Falun Gong. Look back at the past 2 decades of brutal and evil persecution, and the Falun Gong's worldwide journal of nonviolent resistance. The April 25th event can be viewed as a historical mark to the beginning of a battle between righteous belief and evil dictatorship. During these 20 years of persecution, the CCP has abused the Chinese legal system to throw innocent Falun Gong practitioners into prisons, labor camps, black jails, detention centers, brainwashing centers, mental hospitals, and re-education camps. Millions of practitioners have been brutally tortured, with more than 100 methods recorded, and thousands have been tortured to death under the police custody. The most astonishing is state orchestrated forced organ harvesting from living Falun Gong practitioners, with involvement of the military, hospitals, and courts in China. The annual human rights, religious freedom reports of State Department, United States Commission of International Religious Freedom, USCIRF, and the Congressional Executive Commission of China, CECC, have well documented the persecution and designate Communist China as a country of particular concern 90 years in a row. Freedom House's 2017 Human Rights Report also has a chapter about the persecution of Falun Gong. We have invited a witness to the forum today who are at the appeal on April 25th, 1999. Let's welcome Dr. Ci Dongxi, who is in here. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, greetings. My name is Shi Caidong. I received my PhD from the Chinese Academy of Science in 2002 and became a visiting scholar at the University of Delaware later that year. Now, I'm the director of a corporate laboratory in New York City. I began to practice Falun Gong in 1996. Because of my practice, I was kidnapped and taken to the labor camp in 2001, where I was brainwashed and persecuted. On April 25, 1999, along with thousands of Falun Gong practitioners, I went to the National Appeals Office near Zhongnanhai in Beijing to appeal for the innocent Falun Gong practitioner detained in Tianjin and to protect the freedom of belief. Due to our peaceful and rational persistence and Premier Zhu Rongji's open-minded handling, the issue was resolved successfully. This is the peaceful April 25th appeal. The essence of April 25th appeal is to safeguard the basic rights of citizens. Objectively, it's also an opportunity for the CCP authorities to correct themselves and conform to the people. However, 3 months later, the CCP distorted this peaceful appeal into what they called a siege of Zhongnanhai, and used it as an excuse to justify their persecution of Falun Gong, which continues to this day. After 20 years, the truth behind the April 25th appeal has become clearer and clearer. So has the true evil of the Chinese Communist Party. Today, I'd like to look back on that peaceful appeal and return a true account to the history and the people. The direct reason of the April 25th appeal was the Tianjin police detaining Falun Gong practitioners unreasonably. When Tianjin practitioners asked local government to release detained practitioners, they were told that they must be authorized from Beijing. Besides the incident, interference with Falun Gong had also occurred in other places. Our legal rights to practice was being suppressed. We thought that some local government departments had violated the national policy, and the central government didn't understand what was happening with Falun Gong. Therefore, we had no choice but to go to Beijing to appeal. It was around 7 a.m. when I arrived at the location of National Appeal Office on April 25th, 1999. Practitioners had already filled up the nearby streets. Some stood there and some sat down. Some were holding books and reading. While walking down the Fuyou Street, I heard applause from the back. I turned to take a look and saw Zhu Longji walking from the gate across the street, followed by several of his staff members. They walked toward the practitioner across the gate. Zhu Longji probably had already learned about Falun Gong practitioners coming to appeal. He asked us loudly, "What are you here for?" "You have freedom of religion and beliefs," he added. "We are Falun Gong practitioners and we are here to explain the situation." Some practitioner in the crowd replied, "If you have any problem, you can send some representatives up here, and I'll take you inside for a discussion." However, we had all come spontaneously, and most of us did not even know each other, and had never thought about designating representatives. "Do you have any representatives? Who among you are the spokesperson?" He asked again. "Premier Zhu, I can go with you." I was the first one from the crowd who volunteered to walk to his side. "Who else?" Zhu Longji asked. Me too. Every practitioners want to convey his or her message. We cannot have too many people." Zhu Longji pointed at the first persons, then turned and led us towards the west gate of Zhongnanhai. As he walked, he raised his voice and asked, "Didn't I already comment on the situation you guys reported?" "We did not see it," we replied in surprise. He probably realized that his comments on Falun Gong report was detained by somebody in the government. Then said, "I'll get the director of the appeal office to talk to you. I'll get the deputy secretary to talk to you." The staff members signaled us to stop and took us to the left into a reception room while Zhu Longji went into Zhongnanhai to work. Soon after, 4 officials came in. We addressed 3 issues. First, we hope the Tianjin police release Falun Gong practitioners as soon as possible. The second is to allow an open publication of Zhuan Falun. The third is to be allowed a fair and lawful environment to practice Falun Gong. On the same afternoon, supervisors from the department talked to practitioners from Beijing Falun Dafa Association, and they discussed similar issues. In the evening, under the handling of Premier Zhu Longji, the Tianjin police released all detained practitioners. At around 9 p.m., practitioners quietly dispersed after learning that the situation had been properly resolved. tens of thousands of people flow. No big noise, no collision, no blockage, even no paper on the ground. The peaceful resolution of Zhongnanhai appeal on April 25, 1999 is mainly attributable to the sincerity, kindness, and tolerance that practitioners had derived from the Falun Dafa cultivation. It also benefited from Zhu Rongji's open-minded handling. However, in less than 3 months, the CCP mouthpiece distorted the April 25th appeal into siege of Zhongnanhai. But we mainly stood at streets in the north and west of Zhongnanhai. There is no such thing as a siege. Moreover, if there was a siege, could Zhu Rongji came out to meet the practitioners and took us to Zhongnanhai with ease? Therefore, the siege is completely a distortion of facts and an excuse for launching persecution. Many people thought that if there was no mass appeal, then there wouldn't have led the CCP's persecution of Falun Gong. That is not true either. Christians did not go to appeal, but Christians are also persecuted in China. Tibetans did not go to appeal, but Tibetans are also persecuted by CCP. Uyghurs did not go to appeal, but Uyghurs are also targeted by CCP. The CCP has persecuted all religious groups. This is determined by the evil nature of the Communist Party. 20 years had passed since the April 25th appeal. Falun Gong had not been eliminated, but has instead spread around the world. For 20 years, we have always been peacefully telling the truth. People are also increasingly aware that communism is not only the enemy of all beliefs, but also enemy of all mankind. The April 25th appeal is ordinary, in that it is a natural expression of hearts of Falun Gong practitioners guided by truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. The April 25th appeal is also extraordinary, in that people have seen in this the hope for the moral return of humankind. In the past, the evil persecution of righteous faith has never been successful. The future of history will once again prove that the righteous faith is ultimately invincible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Xi. He's all the way from New York. Thank you so much. The next one is the victim, who is Tang Zhiheng. He's going to give a testimony of his torture. He's put into the forced labor, and he got inhuman treatment. He was a successful businessman in China and was persecuted, and then he came to United States. Let's welcome Mr. Zheng Tang and come to. He's all the way from New York too. And let's welcome Mr. Tang to give us the witness. Thank you.
大家好，我是民营企业家汤志恒，原广州圣迪路皮具厂执行董事兼总经理，员工接近100人，公司旗下有3个加工厂，在同行眼中曾被视为商业奇才。2012年到2014年，曾短短3年时间内，让一家皮具厂起死回生。业绩年年翻倍上升，营业额接近2000万人民币，并缔造了当年阿里巴巴全国10大网商皮具品牌。
My name is Zhiheng Tang. I was a private interpreter in China. I was the former CEO and general manager of Guangzhou Shengdilu leather factory with close to 100 workers in the factory. Under the flagship of the company, there had 3 processing plants. in the eyes of my peers. I was regarded as a genius who saved the leather goods factory from bankrupt in 3 years from 2002 to 2014, doubled the sales performance every year, and created revenue up to 20 million RMB. I also built a top 10 national brand name in Alibaba online leather goods industry.
自1999年7月中共迫害法轮功时，我因坚持修炼法轮功，坚持对真善忍的信仰，曾持续不断遭受中共的残酷迫害，曾被非法抓捕8次，非法劳教2年，非法判刑4年半，几经生死，历尽各种酷刑折磨，包括曾被毒打至少3次以上，曾4天4夜不给睡觉，多次被摧残性灌食，曾15天被迫绝食绝水，常常被迫害至精神崩溃的边缘。我太太黄腾文同样深受中共迫害，曾被劳教2年，曾遭绑、死人床等酷刑折磨。
Since July 1999, the CCP launched a persecution of Falun Gong, standing up for my belief in truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. I was continuously suffering torture by the Communist Party. I was illegally arrested 8 times, illegally sentenced to 2 years labor camp, and 4.5 years of imprisonment. I had gone through several life and deaths and various torture, including beaten at least 3 times. The person jumps up and use elbow to slam the back lumbar vertebrae with descending gravity, and hips slammed with sleeper. Sleep deprivation for 4 days and nights, deconstructive force for feeding numerous times, and 15 days of force without food and drink. I was tortured to the verge of a mental breakdown. My wife, Teng Wenhuang, also suffered the same persecution by the CCP and had 2 years of re-education labor camp, was experienced deathbed torture.
我见证的酷刑包括毒打。2000年的7月，我因进京上访，被非法关押于广州花都看守所，非法关押半个月。牢头以所谓参规为名，几个犯人强行把我按住，强迫我趴在墙，叫同窗的打手轮番高高跳起来，用肘部猛击我后腰，每打一下我都情不自禁惨叫，整个人给打趴在地上，导致我后腰很长一段时间没法直起来。这种酷刑可致腰椎断裂，严重可致瘫痪。
In July 2000, I was illegally detained at the Guangzhou Huadu Detention Center for half a month due to petitioning in Beijing. The guard ordered several inmates to forcefully seize and push me toward the wall, face down, and ask the inmates in the same cell to jump up high to hit my wrist with their elbow. Every time when I was hit, I couldn't help but scream, and my whole body fell onto the ground, causing my back wrist to bend, not able to be straightened up for a long time. This kind of torture can be cause fracture of the labor spine and even paralysis.
第一种酷刑是摧残性灌食。2002年的1月，我被非法关押广州花都梯面戒毒所，实施了3个月的非法监视居住，曾多次被毒打。为了抵制非法关押及信仰无罪，我绝食抗议，被戒毒所狱医及4、5个犯人强行压在地上，用拇指粗的胶管直接从鼻孔 插入至胃部灌食，每插进1分都会撕心裂肺的痛。为了增加受刑者的痛苦，不定时把胶管拔出来又插进去，让受刑者求生不得，求死不能，真的是毫无人性而言。
In January 2002, I was illegally detained to Guangzhou Huadu Timian Drug Addiction Treatment Center and suffered 3 months of illegal supervised living. After being beaten many times to resist the illegal detention and refused to give up my belief, I went on hunger strike. I was held down on the ground by prison doctor and 4 to 5 prisoners. They insert a hose as thick as a thumb through my nostril and my stomach to forcefully feed me. Every time when the hose was inserted, I could feel the pain that could tear my heart apart. To increase the pain, they periodically pushed in and pulled out the hose, make me hard to live and not die. It was so inhumane. 2002年4月，仅有人举报我坚持练梵功，我再次被绑架，非法劳教2年。在劳教所，除了参加高强度劳动外，精神虐待、恐吓、长期罚站罚坐。为了转化我，曾4天4夜不允许我睡觉，每天强迫写思想汇报，同时见证了广州第1劳教所最惨无人道的捆刑。In April 2002, only because someone to report that I practiced Falun Gong, I was kidnapped and sentenced to 2 years in the labor camp. In there, I not only need to high intensity work, I also suffered mental abuse, intimidation, and a long time penalty of sitting down and stand up. In order to transform me, they deprived my sleep for 4 days and 4 nights, forced me to write the report on my thought. I witnessed the bundle torture in Guangzhou first labor camp, which was shocking and inhumane. 2005年9月，我被非法判刑4年半，在广东市会监狱非法关押期间，我长期被4个夹控，这些夹控都是死缓或重刑犯，24小时监控。中共利用这些犯人求生的本能，其迫害手段阴险邪恶至极，无所不用其极。曾被强迫固定姿势坐小板凳，罚站罚坐，不允许大小便，强迫看污蔑大法的录像，从事高强度劳动，不允许任何人跟我说话，对我进行隔离，同时用尽各种方法对我进行人格和精神的侮辱。In September 2005, I was illegally sentenced to 4.5 years of imprisonment. During my sentence in Guangdong Street Detention Center, I was under 24-hour surveillance by 4 monitors, and the CCP took advantage of prisoners' instinct of survival. The methods they used for the persecution were weak and insidious. They were using every evil possible means, even as today. When mentioned, still making me tremble with fear. I was forced to sit on a small bench with fixed position for a long period of time, penalized to stand up and sit down, and not allowed to defecate or urinate. I was forced to watch the tape with the defamatory content about Falun Dafa, forced to write the report on my thought, and forced to participate in high-intensity labor. They isolated me and not allow me to talk to any inmates. In the meanwhile, they were use every possible means to insult me personally and mentally.
中共肆日迫害主流社会企业家。众所周知，企业家为社会做出重大贡献，对当地经济发展、社会稳定起到非常大的正面作用，有很高的声望和影响力。在任何一个国家、任何一个社会，企业家都是受尊重及保护的。然而，中共对法轮功的迫害已经完全失去理智，肆意迫害中国成功的企业家，破坏当地经济发展及社会稳定。
As everyone knows, an interpreter have made significant contributions to the society and play a role in the local economy development. Have an impact on social stability. They have a high reputation and influence on the society. In any country and society, an interpreter should be respected and protected. However, the extent to which CCP persecute Falun Gong was unreasonable. The CCP deliberately persecutes successful interpreters in China and undermines the local economic development and social stability.
我身边的不少法轮功学员有来自不同行业的企业家、老板，他们对社会发展做出重大的贡献。他们是成功的企业家，拥有令人羡慕的财产、声望、地位。他们是践行真善忍的法轮功学员，但是20年来，他们却见证了中共的冤狱、洗脑、勒索、酷刑。
Among the Falun Gong practitioners around me, there are interpreters and leaders from different industries. They have made significant contributions to the society. They are successful in interpreter and possess wealth, reputation, and social status. They are practitioners who conduct themselves on the basis of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. For 20 years, they have witnessed the CCP's imprisonment, brainwashing, extortion, and torture.
营救我所认识的广东优秀的企业家张世珍。张世珍年26岁左右，广东深圳人，曾在广州、深圳、珠海等地开发公司承包工程项目，是个非常优秀的企业家，但现在仍然被冤判7年3个月，目前仍关在冤狱，遭受迫害。
Shi Zhenjiang, male of Shenzhen, Guangdong, about 60 years of age. He had undertaken projects in Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Zhuhai, etc. He was a successful interpreter. He was sentenced to 7 years and 3 months imprisonment and still in prison.
呼吁美国政府关注及制止帮助制止中共对法轮功的迫害。中共对法轮功的残酷迫害已达20年，而且今天还在持续升温中。今天有幸站在美国国会，我强烈呼吁美国政府及所有正义人士 关注、帮助及制止中共对法轮功的残酷迫害，尤其是对主流社会精英、企业家的迫害。
The persecution of Falun Gong has persisted for 20 years and still continues to escalate. Today, I have the honor to stand at the United States Congress and strongly urge the United States government and all the righteous people to pay attention to this and help stop the persecution of Falun Gong, especially the persecution of social allies and entrepreneurship. Thank you very much.
谢谢大家。
Yes, I'm Professor Sen Nie, one of the co-organizers of the forum today. We have a very special guest today. This marked 20th anniversary of April 25th's peace appeal. However, the House U.S. Congress is in recess this week. Many of the members of the Congress are returns to their home state, but many of them send their letter of support. We have received at least 5 letters or reports. I want to read one before the next speaker, and we spread over in the forum. Okay, just one of the 5 letters we received so far. This is from Congressman Gus Bilirakis. He's a Republican Congress from Florida. Just take 2 or 3 minutes. Dear faithful friend of Falun Gong, as the executive committee members of Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, and now as the co-chair of International Religious Freedom Caucus, I have been active and interested in human rights issues since first come to Congress in 2007. I am always saddened and alarmed by the oppressive actions of countries that systematically persecute those who do not share the same color, race, creed, religions, and political beliefs. No person should ever be intimidated, forced from the homeland, imprisoned, or murdered because of their religion. Throughout history, humanity has experienced tremendous evil. Our brightest moments as a nation were those when we recognized evil and worked together to swiftly and unapologetically defeat it. Our darkest moments were those when we stood by and did nothing while making excuses for our passivities. The People's Republic of China, PRC, is one of the world's worst perpetrators of human rights abuses. For decades, hundreds of thousands of Falun Gong practitioners have been sentenced to prison and re-education through labor camps. Thousands more have died while in police custody. They have been sent to special high-security psychiatric hospitals for the criminally insane against their will, where torture has been widely reported. Lawyers trying to defend their rights have been harassed, beaten, and attacked by police officers to intimidate them. The United States has a moral obligation to address this type of tyranny and oppressions throughout the world, especially in China. As the first nation to guarantee religious freedom constitutionally, I am pleased to see that the administration is committed to concrete outcomes that reaffirm our international commitments to promote religious freedom. Last July, as the United States hosts the first ever ministerial to advance religious freedom, where Vice President Mike Pence especially called out the PRC for the growing scope and scale of its religious persecution. I'm proud to work with the administrations and stand up against a regime whose injustice against Falun Gong practitioners are unacceptable in a civilized world. I promise you that I will never back off and I will never back down. I ask you to do the same. Be a voice for those voiceless. If we don't speak out for those suffering, then who will? Talk to your members of Congress, write letters to the editors of your local papers, hold vigils in your communities, and invite local officials and friends and co-workers who may not know. While we may not be able to snuff out violence all of the time, we can surely work to extinguish international indifference. Your collective voice cannot be stopped. I stand with you and share your principle of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Thank you, and God bless you. Sincerely, Godspeed Ruckus, Member of Congress of Florida. Next, I have the great honor to introduce a special guest, Commissioner Carrie Boyer. He's Commissioner of the United States Commissions on International Religious Freedoms. He also served as President of American Values, which is a public policy think tank. He was the Undersecretary of Education and the assistant to President Ronald Reagan for policy developments in the 80s. He was one of the Republican presidential candidates in year 2000. Commissioner Boyer has publicly advocated for religious liberty. Without further ado, let's have a round of applause for Commissioner Carrie Boyer.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. I appreciate the nice introduction, and I want to commend you all for sponsoring this group. But I wish I wasn't here today. I wish you did not have to have this event today. The only reason we have to have the event, and the only reason USERF felt that we needed to be here with you, is that China continues to persecute its people for simply seeking God or seeking their spiritual yearnings, and the Chinese government cannot tolerate that. The mission of USERF is to elevate and promote religious freedom around the world. We do this by monitoring and reporting on religious freedom conditions in dozens of countries, and by making policy recommendations to the White House, to the State Department, and to the Congress. Nowhere is this mission right now more important than it is with the nation of China. We monitor dozens and dozens of countries around the world. We could pull all of our staff that is working on all of those other countries and put them only working on China, and there would still not be enough manpower and resources to catalog all the ways that the Chinese government is depriving its citizens of this basic human right. USERF has been warning about religious freedom violations in China since the commission was created in 1998. We were just a baby commission. We were just starting. And in our first annual report, the commission took note of the Falun Gong's April 25th, 1999 appeal, in which practitioners simply asked the Chinese government to let you alone. But of course, that's the one thing a totalitarian, oppressive government cannot do. It cannot allow its citizens to be left alone. They might think things, come to conclusions that threaten that oppressive government. Even at that time, many of us warned the U.S. government not to ignore human rights and freedom of religion in China. We understood that the Chinese Communist Party, at its core, is hostile toward religion. Sadly, we were right about that warning. 20 years after the Chinese government began its relentless persecution of the Falun Gong, the situation for its followers, indeed for all religious communities in China is far, far worse than it was 20 years ago. Since President Xi came to power in 2013, the Chinese government has intensified its crackdown. The Falun Gong have been hit especially hard, as everybody in this room knows, and their family members and survivors have had horrible treatment at the hands of the Chinese government. They are regularly detained for peacefully distributing pamphlets about their beliefs. According to the website Minghui, in 2018, the Chinese government sentenced 931 Falun Gong practitioners to prison for their beliefs. Many of these individuals have never been heard from again. Shame. Shame that you could just disappear into the Chinese so-called justice system and there's never an accounting of what happened to you. USURF is particularly concerned by reports that authorities in Hunan province suspended for 6 months the law license of 2 attorneys that were known as being defenders and representing Falun Gong members. The government said the reason for denying their license was because these attorneys denied the nationally recognized nature of a cult organization. Well, I would say the most major cult organization in China is the People's Liberation Army that does anything but liberate the people. If other provinces in China follow the lead, it will deprive Falun Gong practitioners of their right to a defense attorney, a basic right any citizen should have. That is, if they ever even get their day in court. As you sadly know, Chinese prosecutors sometimes wait years for even bringing charges against Falun Gong practitioners, and the courts themselves may wait additional years before they ever decide their fate. Just recently, 3 young women, followers of Falun Gong from Hebei province, were formally sentenced to prison. They had already been incarcerated for more than 3.5 years. Justice delayed is justice denied. In 2015, the Chinese government claimed that it had banned the practice of forcibly harvesting organs from prisoners of conscience, including the Falun Gong prisoners. It turns out that this was another lie. An independent tribunal of experts and human rights advocates have found credible evidence that the practice continues at a massive scale. In 2019. Unbelievable. Because of the Chinese government's systematic, ongoing, egregious persecution of the Falun Gong, as well as the government's campaign against the Uyghur Muslims, Tibetan Buddhists, and Christians, USURF, the commission I'm on, the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, has consistently recommended that the State Department designate China as a country of particular concern. That sounds sort of like a lifeless term, a country of particular concern. We're designating them as being a country that follows thuggish practices and deprives its people of basic human rights. And the State Department has followed our recommendation. Every year it has made such designations, most recently in November of 2018. This is an important step because under the law, if the U.S. government designates a country this way, there are various options that the U.S. government can implement to deal with that country and that government. We have, in fact, more options to do that than ever before, to sanction specific human rights violators by name, including those who perpetrate or tolerate particularly severe religious freedom violations. Sadly, I have to tell you that the U.S. government currently fulfills its requirements under the International Religious Freedom Act by double counting sanctions that have already been enacted against China for other things they have done wrong. We regard this practice, which is called double hatting, that it sends mixed signals to the Chinese government. It suggests indirectly that perhaps violating religious liberty is not as important as other things like stealing technology. Well, stealing technology is very serious, but is it more serious than stealing a human being's right to worship as they see fit? So we call on the State Department. I do that today, and we will do it in our report next week. We call on the State Department to use its authority to the fullest extent possible to ensure that there are real consequences, not make-believe consequences, for the Chinese government's persecution of the Falun Gong and other religious groups. And we call on the U.S. government to specifically sanction Chinese officials and agencies known to be responsible for religious freedom violations. I want to take a moment to thank all of you in this room, because many of you here work tirelessly to expose the Chinese government's war on faith. The Chinese government and the Chinese Communist Party obviously try to hide their crimes from the international community. Apparently, they even feel some embarrassment or shame for what they're doing. But your willingness to speak truth to power, your willingness here in the United States to alert us about what's going on, enables us to report on the Chinese government's actions and to make informed recommendations to the U.S. government because of your courage. China, it is said by many analysts, wants to be a great nation. They are building a powerful military. They have a growing economy, and that economy has more and more influence in the United States. Sadly, even with some in the American business community who look the other way at human rights violations. But I will say personally to you, I do not believe China can become a great nation, no matter how big its economy or how powerful its military, if it continues to violate basic human rights and define its own, and steal from its own people the right to religious liberty. I again thank you for your advocacy on behalf of religious freedom in China. I want to personally invite you to the launch of our 2019 annual report this coming Monday, April 29th, in the Kennedy Caucus Room in the Russell Senate Office Building. I've been looking at every one of you very carefully. I will recognize whether you're there or not, so I certainly hope you will come. And I think I can say with certainty, you will not be disappointed in the chapter we present on China. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Commissioner Boyer is one of the very few 8 or 9 top leaders on religious freedom in our country, actually in the world. I know he has a very busy schedule. He may not be able to stay the whole forum. I want to open to a few questions, if I may, to the member of medias. Okay. By the way, many of us has RSVP for Monday's release of International Religious Freedom Reports. Yeah. So because he may not stay here for the whole forum, if you have questions, particularly members of the media, please ask Commissioner. Okay. Or for any of the speakers, if you want to have a private interview, you can invite them to the corridors to do that. Any questions? Yes, please.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm with the Newtown Dynasty Television. I'm a reporter. So we know that nearly 20 years ago, United States kind of dealing with the trade issue, the human rights issue of China, because you know that after that China joined WTO and got the most favored nation treatment. So my question is that right now U.S.-China in trade talk again. Some activists feel that it's a good opportunity to use our leverage on the trade to push China to improve the human rights, also on the religious freedom side. So they think that the trade this is a golden opportunity for U.S. to do that. So I'm just wondering what's your opinion on that? How do you see this?
Yes. Yes, so the question is, since the United States is in trade negotiations with the Chinese government, wouldn't this be an ideal time to raise human rights and religious liberty issues in those negotiations? Of course, the content of the negotiations are held very close by both governments, so unless you're actually in the room, you don't know for certain what is and is not being brought up. But I can tell you that USCIRF has recommended to the White House and to the State Department and to our allies in the Trump-Pence administration that they do exactly that, that they raise human rights and religious liberty issues. I've spoken personally to the Vice President about this, and he feels very strongly about it. I'm going to have an opportunity to see President Trump next week on some other matters, and I can assure you this is one of the things that I will bring up, and I have every reason to believe that he will agree with that, and that we will find out eventually that human rights and religious liberty issues, in fact, were being discussed along with these trade questions. One, if I just may say one other thing, when China was granted permanent most favored nation status so many years ago, I fought very strongly against doing that. The argument that was made by those that wanted to grant most favored nation status to China was that trade between the United States and China would change the Chinese government. Many of us warned, and sadly I think events have proven us right, that trade with China changed America more than it changed China, because it meant that powerful economic interests in America had a stake in not upsetting the Chinese government in any way, because they wanted to continue to have access to the Chinese market. And so I think that I'm very glad that the president is renegotiating the trade deals with China, because I think they have not helped the United States in many ways, and I don't think they've been ultimately good for the people of China.
Yeah, my name is Charles Lee. I'm the Director of the Public Awareness for the World Organization to Investigate Persecution of Falun Gong. The question is regarding the organ harvesting on Falun Gong practitioners, because we have invested more than 850 hospitals, and it's about like 10,000 doctors in China conducting these organ transplant procedures, and the numbers we have accumulated, just maybe like a little more than 90 hospitals who are accredited by the Ministry of Health in China. Our numbers is big, very big. Like very few people would be able to believe that. So I want to see what you can do or you can recommend to the president when you meet him next week. The number is huge, and also we know that's still going on. The Chinese government said that taking organs from the or voluntary donors, actually we have also evidence that it's not true. I'm going to present this speech over here. We have real evidence, it's like nobody can deny. Say the mass murder is still going on. So I want to give you this copy, and then maybe like you can take a look, and if you have a question, give me you let me know. But first, I want to see if you have what's your take on this issue on organ harvesting on the.
Well, it's disgusting. It violates the whole concept of the dignity of a human being. In whatever condition that human being is in, something like this should never happen. I will take that report, and if my fellow commissioners at USERF have not seen this latest information, I'll certainly make sure that all of them see it, and I will also bring it to the attention, the commission will bring it to the attention of our friends at the State Department and at the White House. Okay, certainly.
Just one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Jennifer Zheng from the Epoch Times. I'm very impressed by your first comment that you wish you were not here today. So it seems to me that because this persecution has been going on for 20 years and people becomes numb about this, but recently there's comments because of the failure of the international community to stop this persecution. And now the persecution is expanded to the wider community of other groups in China as a whole, like millions of Uyghurs are detained in the camps, and the social credit system is applied for everybody in the society. So my question is, what do you think will it take for the international world, and especially the USA, to take some real meaningful actions to stop this right now? Thank you.
I had to take one more question, didn't I? That is very difficult. If I knew the answer, instead of being on the commission, I'd probably be president of the United States. No, you're absolutely right. Sadly, if countries are not persistently made aware of persecution, it is easy for governments around the world to put their own narrow economic or security interests ahead of what's happening to human beings in a country like China. The only answer I know for something like that is the benefit of sunlight. You know, that brave men and women like you and commissions like our commission have to constantly shine a light into dark places so that it's impossible for anyone to deny or to claim later that they didn't realize what was being done to religious groups in China. And that's what the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom tries to do. And as we, the Vice President made an incredible speech about these issues that if you haven't read it, I commend to you. He will be going back to this subject again. I think you'll hear more from the President, and I think all of that taken together hopefully will bring us to the day when we'll be able to meet here again in a celebration that finally the people of China are free and the persecution is ended. Thank you very much.
In addition to Commissioner, we also have Dr. Dominic Nadi from USERF. Let's give him a round of applause. For their righteous support. I hope you can stay few minutes. Commissioner, I hope you can stay for 2-3 minutes because next speaker will testify as a famous musician. She's going to play the unique two-string. Okay.
I have to go give other remarks.
Sure.
But he,
Yes.
he will be my eyes and ears. And
Great. Yeah. The next one is the testimony of Erhu virtuoso Mei Xuan. She's been tortured, forced labor, inhuman treatments, and not only her, also her family and her colleague artist. Before her testimony, she liked to play a short Erhu music piece. Please go ahead.
So Before she starts, I will try to explain the song. The name is called Be Saved. We have fallen to the maze, helpless, lost, can't find the way. Searching thousands of years, one day Master reappears. Be saved, be saved. Please don't miss this chance again.
Now, our second victim, Miss Mei Xuan, she is going to do testimony of tortures, forced labors, inhuman treatment, and he's a musician, artist, and erhu virtuoso. And let's welcome. She's all the way from New Jersey. Let's welcome Miss Mei Xuan.
My name is Mei Xuan. I started to learning erhu, 2-strings Chinese violin, when I was 10. I graduated in 1981 and have served as chair erhu also for more than 20 years. I have produced many recordings for soundtracks of movies and TV programs in 2007. I was fortunately accepted into the world-famous Shenyang Performing Arts and Shenyang Symphony Orchestra as a solo erhu, which also and a symphony orchestra member. I have toured the world for many years and performed in more than 100 major cities around the world with Shenyang. Currently, I am teaching erhu in the Arts Academy in New York. Since 1996, I have also been practicing Falun Gong for 23 years. Falun Gong has brought me health and peace, both mind and body. On July 20, 1999, the Communist Party launched the brutal persecution of Falun Gong. Since I didn't want to give up my faith and practice of Falun Gong, I was illegally kidnapped 5 times by the evil communist regime and sentenced to 4 years in prison. In 2002, I was kidnapped again by the police. They tied my hands and feet onto the chair and didn't allow me to sleep at all. After 1 month of torture, my hands and feet were very painful, incredibly swollen, and distorted. I was very worried and cried. As a musician, my hands are very important so that I can play my instrument. They not only wanted to destroy my faith and cultivation, but also my career as a musician. I didn't know if I would ever be able to play the erhu again. From the 2002, I was unlawfully sentenced to 4 years in women's prison. During that time, I was subjected to torture and inhuman treatment. I was forced to do long hours of slave labor. My blood was drawn and tested by force. I was also subjected to brainwashing and, along with other Falun Gong practitioners, were beaten by male criminals. They deprived me of my rights to be visited by relatives and locked me up to a dark cellar. I had bruises of my body and was beaten to the verge of death several times. These 4 years were like hell. After I was released from prison in later 2006, I was not allowed to continue my job. In China, my musician achievements would have guaranteed the status and the title of national first-class professional artists and position of full professorship. But the communist government not only deprived me of these honors and professional position, but expelled me from the orchestra simply because I was steadfast with my belief in the principle of truth, compassion, tolerance, and in my right to practice meditation. I had no other financial resources, and since there was no freedom of expression in the arts, and so freedom of belief, I could see no future for myself. I felt desperate and decided to escape and seek freedom outside China. In 2007, I fortunately arrived at the United States, the land of freedom and home of brave. Since then, I have had freedom of belief, and I hold so dear, and also been following my professional aspirations as a musician. My husband had been a Falun Gong practitioner too. In 1999, right before our wedding, he was illegally kidnapped. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and just a few days before his release, I was arrested and illegally sentenced for 4 years. This has been our marriage life. We have not seen each other for more than a decade. In 2010, my husband obtained his U.S. permanent resident status and a visa to the United States. On February 18, 2010, I was eagerly waiting to see her familiar face among the people coming from the gate at the Newark airport. But he never showed. With the help of the International Human Rights Group, I was sad to learn that my husband has been stopped and arrested by the police at the Shanghai airport. He was illegally jailed again for 1.5 years in the re-education center. His passport was confiscated, and he was banned from going abroad. We have been married for 20 years, but have only spent a few months together. It has been a heartbreaking experience. I was not the only artist who was persecuted in China for practice Falun Gong. My good friend, Miss Wu Xiaohua, a fine artist painter, who was also a professional in a university, was illegally arrested 23 times and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. She was also detained in the mental hospital for a year, where she was tortured severely. earlier this year, it was heartbreaking to learn that he was sentenced again to another 5 years in prison. He has been persecuted to the point of dementia and cannot recognize people at all. Is a recently people? A recent picture. My classmate Talent Erhu, which also recipient of the second place prize in National Erhu competition youth group, and a fellow Falun Gong practitioner, Mr. Jin Yuan, was sentenced to 8 years in prison in 2010. I also had two other colleagues who were a couple, Mr. Chen Xiaocheng and Miss Ding Zhaoxing. They were nationally acclaimed famous film television performing artists who were persecuted to death in August 2010 because they refused to give up their practice of Falun Gong. Today, on this very day of 20th anniversary of April 25th Beijing appear, and standing in this Congress building, I am hereby urging the U.S. Congress and government, international community, and religious leaders to lend hands to help end these crimes against humanity and the persecution of Falun Gong in China. In particular, I ask U.S. government to help me rescue my husband so that we can be reunited on this free land soon. I hope that 10 of thousands of victimized Falun Gong families can be rescued and reunited too. Thank you.
Thank you. Before our next distinguished speaker, Chen Guangcheng, I want to read another letter of support we received from Congressman Gerald Connolly, a Democrat members of state of Virginia. Dear Falun Gong practitioner, I would like to welcome everyone to today's forum on Capitol Hill, marking 20 years since the historical appeal of 10,000 Falun Gong practitioners to the Chinese government to stop persecution of Falun Gong. I would like to express my unwavering support for your advocacy on behalf of basic human rights and religious freedom. Falun Gong emphasized the moral principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance, and is practiced at least 70 countries worldwide. Nevertheless, since July 1999, when the Chinese Communist Party launched the persecution nationwide, we have seen increasing reports that Falun Gong practitioners have been oppressed by the Chinese government. Victims of the persecution have come to my office to give their real-life narratives of torture, suffering, and damage experienced by their families. Some of my own constituents are themselves refugees of these persecutions. I understand that Falun Gong practitioners have responded to the state-sanctioned violence using entirely peaceful means. They have persistently educated Chinese citizens about the nature and their practice and the persecution against it. I want to thank you for sharing your story here and advocating the widely shared values and define us both as a nation and as a broader international community. Finally, I hope that this will be the year of which we see significant progress in your cause and encouraging changes take place in China. Best regard, Gerald Connolly, Member of Congress. The next very special guest is distinguished attorney Chen Guangchen. You want to introduce? Yeah, okay.
Mr. Chen Guangchen is an attorney. He's a renowned blind Chinese barefoot human rights lawyer. He's a distinguished visiting fellow, Institute of Policy Research, and also in Catholic University of America. He's a award recipient. Let's welcome Attorney Chen Guangchen. Thank you.
很高兴今天在这儿跟大家一起在这个4.25迫害20周年的日子，跟大家一起讨论这件事情。首先呢，我想说，在这样一个人神共怒的绑架中国、挟持政府、奴役中国人民的这样一个政权，迫害法轮功这个20年的这个状况下呢，我想谈这么几点。一个就是，我帮你说 ，OK， 好。
Good. Thank you, everyone. I'm really here to the 20th anniversary of Falun Gong's April 25th event, and I have several points to share with you for this 20 years persecution of Falun Gong.
从表面上看呢，这是共产党意识形态上的一个控制，它本性上就是要控制一切。所以，对于20年前法轮功在中国迅速的成长起来，有大批的这个修炼者以后，让中共非常的恐慌，因为他倒行逆施已经人心尽丧，所以他非常担心会因此而丢掉政权，这是他迫害法轮功的一个根本原因。
On the surface, CCP wants to control the belief of religion, but the nature is to control everything. They are very scared of Falun Gongs in a short time period since 1992 to 1999. Already 100 million practitioners in China. They may lose their control power.
所以从表面上看啊，共产党找的一些冠冕堂皇的理由啊，我觉得那都是不可信的，这是一根本原因。另外一个就是说，共产党这一次对法轮功的迫害，又一次的充分证明这个政权是完全不讲道理的。我们不应该对这样一个邪恶的政权抱有任何的希望。
So for what has happened in the past 20 years, for the persecution of Falun Gong, we cannot believe anything of what CCP tells about, and we should have no hope to bring hope that CCP will change.
而且中共对于所有的信众啊，除了法轮功之外，大家也可以看到他们对这个藏传佛教、对藏人啊，对于这个其他少数民族啊，现在对这个包括基督教、天主教以及其他各方面的信徒，你看他不断的拆十字架、教堂，对所有的这个中共认为你不是红色思想的，你跟他的这个党文化不一致的，全部都是他的打击对象。可能有人会说，哦，你这不是非黑即白吗？其实这不是什么非黑即白，共产党有着天然的排他性，只要你跟他不一样，那都是异类，他就会这样认为。
So other than persecution of Falun Gong, Tibetan Buddhists, Christians, Catholics, they were all persecuted by CCP because whatever group, their ideology is not aligned to their evil principles of fake not aligned with to their ideology, they will just attack and isolate each group and persecute them.
那么我们看到他对像人权律师、维权人士的打压也是大规模的啊。当这些人阻碍他随意的迫害中国人民的时候，就成为了中共的眼中钉、肉中刺。他就会开动整个国家机器，利用他把持政权的这个便利来打压这些人。我觉得这是共产党的一个怎么说呢？一个邪性的具体体现，或者说一个怎么说呢？一个不能容纳任何与党不同的声音的一个具体体现。
So other than those religious groups, all the human rights lawyers are also severely persecuted. Just as mentioned earlier, they use all their national resources to persecute whoever not aligned with their ideology. That's their evil nature.
那么从更深层次来讲，我认为中国的这种专制状态，它对于所有人群的打压，其实深层次的一个根本的原因是人性和或者说是佛性与魔性的博弈，是这个魔与佛的一个斗争。就像我们原来说的，民主自由与专制独裁是水火不相容的一样，那么我想邪魔也应该是势不两立的，这应该是一个更深层次的原因。
So this is actually a fight between good and evil. And also, as we always say, the difference between democracy and tyranny. And this is the things built in the CCP's nature. So they all do those evil things to try to control the whole world.
那么中共呢，利用他所控制的媒体，利用他花巨资建立起来的防火墙，对中国人民进行控制，就希望让这些人呢，能够成为一种就是对外界的信息知之甚少，最好什么都不知道，让他比较容易控制，他想达到这样的目的。那么在打击法轮功之初，我相信中共也是认为，就像打击原来迫害其他的他们党内的一些其他人士一样很容易的就能把法轮功迫害下去。可是我们看到，20年下来，众多的中国法轮功只是转到了地下，继续在做，而且很多中共当年积极配合中共打击法轮功的人，现在也是一而再而衰，三而竭了，没有多少人愿意支持中共做这样的邪恶事情。
For the past 20 years, as they have been doing in many other events, they use the control of media, firewall, and block all messages to people in China. So all those, what they have done will eventually fail.
可以说，中共这次对法轮功的破坏是彻底的失败了。尽管他甚至在政府之外又建立了一个所谓的610系统，曾经一度代替了当地政法委的工作，来对公检法发号施令，动用全国的这个政权的力量来迫害。但是我们看到是失败了，这是在国内的一个状况。那么从国外来讲，我们看到20年来，法轮功已经在全世界130-140个国家都有红传，得到了广泛的认可。我想，这也说明中共在国际上的这种处心积虑的破坏也是失败。
Also, when they started persecuting Falun Gong, they set up this 610, what we call the 610 office, try to interfere the judiciary system in China. And that outside of China, they also try to blackmail all those media, international media. However, as we know, all those what they are doing, more and more people around the world understand what they try to cheat other people around the world. They are going to fail.
从这个法轮功在海外开始发展以来，开始我想向大家 讲明真相，然后把中共的迫害讲清楚，在发现人性的弱点之后，我们干脆走出独立的一条路。媒体，我们自己有自己的媒体，然后这个自己除了揭露共产党本身的罪恶以外，还通过我们的资源开发出这个自由门啊，这个我是深有体会的。当时我在国内就有用，我的身边朋友可以说人手一份儿。那个时候，中共把人民封锁在墙内的这个做法已经是基本上失效了。所以说，这个本身给中国人们的觉醒、看到世界、打破中共的封锁也是起了巨大的作用。
So, whatever they are trying to block, the information about Falun Gong has been spreading all over the world. And also, practitioners of Falun Gong, they clarify the truth to a lot of people around the world. And especially they developed this free gate software, and Mr. Chen already also using that, and many other Chinese people using that. So all those blockages are failing. People still getting what they want to know.
那么前几天我在这个咱们华府呢，也去又一次欣赏了咱们的神韵演出。我想在这谈一点这方面的。原来大家都知道，每当有人啊，就是在西方的这些朋友们要去看法轮功的时候，中共都会利用他的这个恐怖本性，对他本人或者是对他有关系的人，或者是对居住在海外的华人的国内家人进行威胁骚扰，目的就是阻止大家去看神韵，去了解中共对于中国人民、对于中国修炼者的迫害。可是我们这次就看到的情况是什么呢？我用一个词来形容，叫座无虚席。这说明什么？神韵在西方主流社会，在各个群体当中已经深入人心了。中共试图通过他的这个黑白的各种手段来阻止大家认识的这个信仰者认识神韵的这个做法已经彻底破产。
Now I want to talk about Shen Yun performance. I personally have seen several times, and as we probably some of you know, CCP also tried to threaten the people who want to see Shen Yun around the world. However, from my experience, all the shows Shen Yun performance are full house. So what they're doing also failed.
从06年到现在10几年的时间，说实话，走到这一步真的是不容易。其中的艰辛，所有跟中共打过交道、所有与中共斗争过的人，我想都是深有体会，都知道表面上、背后里这种博弈、这种较量有多么的激烈。那这个是我觉得是非常值得祝贺的事情。
So as I just discussed, for the past 20 years, whatever CCP trying to persecute Falun Gong, they are all failing. And this is one thing I would like to, I feel very happy and want to congratulate.
最后我再想谈一点，在这个中共不满足于控制中国人民，把魔爪伸向世界各个领域之后，那么几十年的绥靖政策下来啊，导致了让中共呢有机会祸害世界。那么现在我觉得这个形势的正在发生变化，全世界已经认识到中共对于世界人类文明文化普世价值的破坏。那么现在正在对中共警惕起来，啊，要不断的斩断它的魔爪，这是一个非常好的形势。
So as we all know, right now the whole world has been alerted by what CCP trying to control the whole world. And pretty soon, I think we are going to see a real effect what CCP is going to suffer.
当然，多年的收买呢，还是有这个有钱能使鬼推磨嘛啊！中共可以让很多西方人来站起来替他说话啊，来帮他在国际上去拓展空间。我想呢，下一步我们需要的努力的一点就是非常清楚的在全世界形成一种反共趋势，让任何一个西方民主国家的成员，你只要亲共，你只要与邪恶为伍，你就必败，你就必然成为大家孤立的对象。
still some people are being bought by CCP's money or whatever. But I believe the next step, if we focus on to clarify more truths about what CCP is, and whoever is still working along with CCP to do those evil things, they will definitely face failure.
那么再下一步就是大家认清中共这个邪恶政权是人类的毒瘤，它对于人类的危害，对于人类潜在的这种威胁，是你只要它存在，就是永远的一个威胁。所以大家认识到这一步以后，要携起手来，把中共送入历史，让整个世界上不再有共产专制政权。只有这样，我们才能真正的安全，中国人也才能真正的像人一样，享受到自由民主生活的一个尊重人权的社会环境中。
So then again, if we keep tell people what CCP's evil nature is, they will be eventually swept into history. And people of China, and especially people in China, they are going to really enjoy freedom and democracy.
在这个怎么说呢？关键的历史转折点上，我觉得我们每个人都担负着不可推卸的责任。我们需要携起手来，一起把这个趋势推向前台，让中共在世界上寸步难行，让中国人民真正站起来，讨回原本属于自己而被中共抢走的权利。谢谢大家，我们一起努力。
Okay, at this turning point, we should hand in hand really work together to make CCP cannot move any further. Thank you very much.
Again, I know Chen Guangcheng may not stay to the end. We come from the same place, probably leave in 10, 15 minutes. Let's open to one or two questions for Chen Guangcheng. Is there any particular member of the media? Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
我讲中文。
请讲。
陈先生您好，我是英文大学记者曾曾。最近就是听到，就是班农在一次研讨会上有一个评论，就是说，我们不能把改变中国的希望寄托于就是海外，或者海外的力量要寄托于中国人民身上。那么从您对中国现状的了解，您觉得就说中国的这种民众对于中共暴政的认识和他们的意愿，就是想去做一些改变，甚至推翻这个暴政，已经到了什么样的程度？可以对此有所期待？
我觉得实际上中国人民对于中共的这个认识已经非常清楚，这也是为什么中共就不能再用谎言来欺骗他们，之后就完全用恐怖手段来对他们进行恐吓。你说一句话我就关你30天，那你在这样一个状况下，大家当然这种失去自由的恐惧，这是天性嘛。我想没有东西方之分，谁都是这个样子。从根本上来讲，中国的民主自由要靠中国人自己，这个本身并没有错。但是这个着眼点，绝不仅仅是像原来网络时代之前的那种概念，就说你的路就要靠你自己走。现在是全球一体化了，信息时代了。我们在这儿打个电话到北京，和在这个沈阳打个电话到北京没有什么区别。那从这样一个角度讲，我觉得国际社会对于这样一个邪恶政权担负的责任比原来要大得多啊！远远不是说是最终中国的民主建立了，中国的民主怎么运行的好与不好是要靠中国人。可是，在这样一个邪恶政权努力这个已经建立起来，就有强大的这个武装力量。而且我还说一点，就是说美国本身到现在为止还有9颗卫星租给中共来帮助中共控制中国人。你说你没有责任，你说你中国人靠你自己，你先把这个停了，对不对？你没有办法，没有大家对中共这样一个邪恶政权的纵容的话，怎么会有中共今天这个样子？所以说， 我觉得这个说法有一半是对的，另一半就是说你推卸不了这个责任。所以说每个人这个邪恶政权在我们身边发生都是有责任的。
Briefly, the responsibility of the Chinese people to make China democratic. Right now, as far as I know, before the internet age, maybe, yeah, you can say that. But since the internet, everyone, we call Beijing from capital USA, or you call from Beijing in China, they're all similar. So a lot of responsibilities is already shifted to everybody around the world. For example, even now in the U.S., U.S. still rented 9 satellites to China to control the people in China. So that alone, like you can say, USA has no responsibility. So I believe everybody around the world now has the responsibility to make China more democratic towards democracy.
好的，我觉得呢，另外一点我再补充一点啊，对不起，我占的时间有点长。在中国，实际普通百姓谁都知道是非是什么，谁都知道中共现在是处于一种什么样的状态，包括中共自己也知道来日无多，能够撑一天算一天。最关键的是，原来中共有一个沉船计划，也就是他把子女财产全都送到国外，准备中国一旦发生问题，我赶紧就跑。啊，甚至很多中共的官员，你看到都10个护照、8个护照，这都是很正常的事情。可是随着最近几年的国际形势的变化，让中共的退路似乎不是这么美好了，所以中共这个时候是非常焦虑。但中共也有一个特点，越是怕，越是装着不怕；越是焦虑，越是觉得好若无其事的样子。实际上，他现在一点都没有信心。
I would like to add another point. Not only Chinese people know that CCP has the days are numbered. They themselves know that. And that's why you see a lot of CCP officials, they have more than, or they already send money and their family member to other countries, especially like USA. And also, each of them probably own more than 8 or 9 passports. So they just get ready, when the time is there, they just go get away from China. So that's a fact.
Yeah, I have a very short letters from Congressman. I want to read again. It's from Congressman Robert Whitman of the state of Virginia. To whom it may concern, I would like to recognize the 20th anniversary of the historic April 25th Falun Gong appeal. Not only is this day for remembrance and respect, it also provides a critical opportunity to look towards a bright future. The celebration of this anniversary marks not only an important part of the global history, but also reminds us of the sacrifices that brave protesters made to fight for religious freedom. I am an avid believer that everyone around the world should have the freedoms to practice their religions of choice. This anniversary helps us to remember the religious persecution that occurs in 1999 and honor those who choose to stand up against it with nonviolent resistance. As we move into the future, I commend you all for your continued work to keep the memory of this appeal alive and strive for religious freedom. I greatly appreciate all of you taking the time to recognize this anniversary today. As you continue to work to end the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners, please let me know if there is anything that I can do to help. I send you my best regards on this day of remembrance. With kind regards and remain, sincerely, Robert Whitman, Member of Congress.
Let's thank you, Attorney Chen Guangcheng, they need to go back to work. Thank you so much. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you. Okay, another letter from Congressman Steve King. I'd like to read for you. Good afternoon. Today, in celebration of the historic April 25th Falun Gong appeal, I applaud and stand with all the brave participants, volunteers, and supporters of human liberty, and among those, practitioners of Falun Gong. This anniversary makes the 20th anniversary of the day in 1999 that 10,000 Falun Gong practitioners traveled to the Chinese Central Appeals Office in Beijing to especially appeal to the government to cease persecution of Falun Gong. That day, a peaceful appeal stood as a witness that even nonviolent resistance would be met with government brutality, and such brutality cannot be tolerated by the watching world. You and I are part of the 7+ billion people on the planet, and many of us are also among those that are living and doing the best we can to ensure the maximum amount of freedom to exercise of religion, adhere to our faith, engage in enterprise, live under the rule of law, and the ability to raise our families as we see fit. These pillars of the free society, and we so strongly defend here in the United States, are written into our Declaration of Independence and into our Constitution, and we are called in this country to protect those values around the world. That's part of a prayer that was given in Jamestown in 1607. Not very far south of D.C., right on the Atlantic coast, where they planted a cross. They knelt and they prayed, and they say, God guide us and help us to carry these values around the world. These are the values I am here defending today: the value of religious freedom, the value of freedom itself, and the rule of law. It is hard for the very sad news of what has happened to the Falun Gong, Christian, and others in China to soak into the consciousness of the United States Congress, let alone freedom-loving Americans. The magnitude of the persecution is difficult to comprehend, and the denying of fundamental human right, the God-given natural right to worship as you please and to live as you please, is unthinkable. It is an awful record of disrespect and contempt for human rights that comes out of the Marxist government of the Communist Party of China. Yet, I still have hope. I encourage you to continue to hope and pray. I pray for a day when such atrocities will not only be unthinkable, but will be completely removed from the face of the earth. I also look forward to the realization of one free China, complete with the pillars of a free society. Together, we can look forward to and work toward that righteous goal. Thank you for letting me participate along with you today. From Congressman Steve King, thank you very much. And our next speaker is Dr. Wang Ziyuan. He is a co-founder and the president of World Organization to Investigate Persecution of Falun Gong, who is a storyteller in documentary Harvest Alive 10 Years Investigation. His topic is CCP orchestrated ongoing large-scale live organ harvesting crimes. Let's welcome Dr. Wang Ziyuan. He's all the way from New York. Thank you.
各位女士们、先生们，大家好。我首先呢，要感谢主办方在这样一个特别的日子里，组织这样一个特别有意义的会议。同时， 也对美国的国会在今天能提供这个会场支持这个活动表示感谢和敬意。
First of all, I'm very grateful to the organizer for giving me this opportunity to participate in the Search Historic Seminar on this great day of 20th anniversary of April 25th. At the same time, I would like to express my gratitude and respect to the U.S. Congress in providing the Congress venue as support on such a special day.
今天我主要是简要的介绍一下中共大量活摘法轮功学员器官的现状。主要是介绍2015年到2018年我们调查的主要证据。我要在这里说一句：活摘器官这样反人的罪，从2000年初，1999年底2000年初。持续到现在还在进行，这真的是在拷问着人类的道德良知。希望我们今天的发出的声音、提供的证据，能够引起人类的深度关注，能够尽早的结束这一犯罪。
Today I will to report the progress of the investigation on the status of CCP's nationwide crimes of organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners during years from 2015 to 2018. A Chinese communist regime is still continuing its evil practice of live organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners.
从2015年到2018年，追查国际对中国分布在大陆的23个省、4个直辖市、5个自治区的32个省级行政区的数百家医院或数十家器官捐献的机构进行了大范围的调查。我们先后发表了9篇相关的调查报告，公布了329个电话调查的录音证据。
From 2015 to 2018, the WIFIG made thousands of telephone calls to hundreds of hospitals and dozens of organ donation agencies in 23 provinces, five autonomous regions and 4 municipalities, and published 9 of investigation reports, including WIFIG also published 329 recordings of telephone investigation.
调查的结果是，中共一直在持续的大量的活摘法轮功学员器官。而且在中国至今还存在着活人器官供体库，在全国主要的器官移植的单位，器官移植的等待时间不但短，而且还比较固定，器官的来源始终是充足的，并且还有大量的急诊移植或绿色通道。另一方面，中国正式的器官捐献的机构捐献的数量却微不足道。比如说，全国最大的城市北京有23家器官移植的医院，是全国器官移植最多的城市。可是至今，北京市红十字会器官捐献办公室还处于筹备状态。就去年年底我们调查的时候，他说还没有开始正式的器官捐献，没有一例捐献。大家想一想，这个器官来源哪来的呢？这是中共目前为讲的他们主要的器官捐献的来源，这就是严重的一个情况。同时呢，我们还看到器官不但 法轮功学员活在器官之间罪恶还在继续，而且这个罪恶已经全面的向全社会在蔓延。另外一方面，我们调查还发现了，中国刻意宣扬这个吵的这个所谓的黑社会器官，就是器官黑市，这实际上是中国转移目标、掩盖罪恶、操作器官活人器官库的另一个方式。
So the result shows that the Chinese Communist Party's state crime of live organ harvesting against the Falun Gong practitioner is still going on. There exists a human organ bank in China with all donors still alive. Transplant volumes in most hospitals are still increasing year over year. There are abundant organ donors for transplants. Hospital guarantee short waiting times for transplant patients. There still exists a large number of emergent transplants in green channels. Another advertisement for free transplant appears in China. There are very few organ donations through Red Cross. The number of organ donations is far less than the volume of transplants. Beijing Red Cross admits that it never started organ donation program. Source of organ donation is unclear. The black organ market that the CCB took initiative to publicizing is actually used to cover its crime of live organ harvesting, and it is another operation mode of human organ banks.
由于时间的关系，我今天主要是向大家介绍一下我们目前得到的直接证据的情况。自从2015年，就仅从2015年到2018年，我们就得到了多少呢？有19家医院和1个610办公室的官员，总共有23个直接参与杀人的凶手的证据。在这之前，我们还有20多家医院的医生直接承认他们这个活摘法轮功学员器官的证据。
So, because of the time limit, so today I will only explain some key points. So, the first thing is the Chinese Communist regime is still continuing the practice of live organ harvesting from Falun Gong practitioners. Based on the investigation we conducted from 2015, at least 19 hospitals and 116 office, 23 staff members admitted that organs from Falun Gong practitioners are still used for organ transplants. 6 other hospitals did not deny that they were using organs from Falun Gong practitioners.
特别要告诉大家的是，现在而不是过去。好多人以为这个06年曝光以后，这个事情就停了或者少了。我告诉大家，不是，还在大量的做着。举一个例子，去年10月19日到12月2日，我以追查国际，我以一个四川省政法委610办公室的主任或副主任的身份，对中国大陆11个省市、12所医院、17个人进行电话调查，得到了17个电话调查录音。他们对我问的说：“你们现在还是用的是法轮功那种正常的健康的供体吗？”对于这样的问话，这17个人 有11个人就直接回答了，对对，好好，是你说的对，没错。大家听到了没有？还剩下那几个人没有否认，就是转移了一下话题。这是多么严酷的事情啊！我告诉大家，这是刚刚发生的事情，不是过去。这些医生是什么人啊？是直接的证据，直接杀人的凶手。而且我们调查的这些人是什么人呢？是这些医院的院长、主任。这些人大多数是国家级的器官移植项目的负责人，很多是国际知名的这些专家教授，只有1名是医生，别的都是这样的人。这些人是直接参与了手术，并且直接参与了组织协调。这样的人直接承认，他们现在还在用着法轮功血缘器官，多么严酷，多么残忍，多么恐怖啊！
From October 19 to December 2nd, 2018, pretending to be the director or deputy director of Stability Maintenance Office at Sichuan Province Political and Legal Affairs Commission, trying to arrange the organ transplant operation for a relative. So the investigators from WIFIC conducted a telephone investigation on the president, directors, doctors, and other people in charge of 12 hospitals, which are suspected of participation in the live organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners. And obtained 17 phone conversation recordings as evidence. Some of the investigative phone calls were conducted in the studio of Newtown Dynasty TV, NTD TV in New York, and were entirely video recorded, while being witnessed by a current affairs commentator and several other guests who have always been pay attention to the issue of live organ harvesting over a long period of time.
我再告诉大家，它的严重程度到什么呢？从中国的北边向南边，跨越整个全国。这些城市是哪些城市呢？北京、天津、上海、烟台、郑州、杭州、长沙、湘雅、广州、桂林，从北向南横跨全国，11个省市，12所国家级的医院的专家教授。另外，我还告诉大家，为了打消有些人的这个怀疑，让他们知道这个成果，我这一次很多电话是在新唐人电视台的演播室在那打的，而且还邀请了长期关注这个活摘器官这些的时事评论员，两边坐着看着，现场见证，全场录像、录音。等一会大家再看一下这个是一部分视频。
The 17 telephone investigations published in the report involves in 12 hospitals in major cities of 11 province and central government direct control municipalities, including Beijing, Tianjin, Shanghai, and extra. The area covered from north to south and across in entire China.
好，下次请大家看一下这个我们调查的一个在新唐人演播室的一个视频现场录像。
2018年10月19日至12月2日，追查国际的调查员以四川省政法委维稳办主任、副主任的身份，给亲属联系移植手术的事由，对涉嫌活摘法轮功学员器官的12所医院的院长、主任、医生等责任人电话调查取证，获得了17个录音证据。 部分调查是在新唐人电视台的演播室进行的，调查全程录像。同时，调查现场还有长期关注活摘器官的时事评论员等嘉宾现场目击见证。调查表明，中共活摘法轮功学员器官的罪行从没停止，还在继续。中国仍然存在活人器官工体库，而且活摘罪恶正向全社会蔓延。调查还发现，中共主动张扬的器官黑市，是中共用来掩盖活摘器官罪恶、运作活人器官库的另一种方式。
武警，我们现在是播那个北京市武警总医院器官移植研究所的副主任王建立一期。哎，你是武警总院那个器官移植研究所的那个王建立主任吗？
对。
哎，你好，我这个电话是从四川成都打过来的，我是四川省政法委这个维稳办的副主任。你好。
你好。
哎，我今天来打电话过来是请你帮忙的，我有一个呢亲戚啊在丰台。这个他呢是肝硬化，要做这个肝移植，我听说你那里呢做的多也做得快，所以我说打过来请你们帮忙哈。
病人在哪里啊？
现在人是在丰台。
丰台。
哎，在丰台。
他是什么血型的？
他是 B 型血，今年45岁。
现在病人不是情况不是太重了。
这情况还好了，目前情况还不错。这个呢，在307医院做过检查，就说医生说现在情况比较好，要早点做，这个效果比较好，所以我们想早点做。他们那边呢没有器官。
你这样，你就周一吧，你要不急的话，周一上午9点左右，你就让病人过来。带着资料我看一下，好吧？
哎，那太好了。周一呢过来，我在哪里找你啊？
到移植科病房。
移植科病房来找你，那太好了。那个，你看，要是到你那儿来了，大概什么时候可以安排手术？
这什么器官呀？这个东西我说了不算呀，得看什么时间有器官呀。
对，那就是看看跟那个谁呢？对，那就是你来看看情况，大体上我就是问大体上，我这里家里好安排，你知道吧？
好吧，因为这个手术时间不确定，这个我们这儿器官挺多的。
器官挺多的哈。
对。
大概你看1-2个星期能不能安排？
差不多吧，但我不能说100%。
好，1-2个星期可以安排是吧？哎，我问一下，你那个器官。这个器官情况怎么样？就是供体器官情况。
什么意思啊？
你们现在用的那个器官是不是都是那个法轮功的健康器官，正常的那供体，对不对？
对。
那就很好。那个你们这个器官是把人拿到医院了，这个直接取同步移植吗？还是到院外去取器官取回来再是移植啊？
都是在医院里取的，
都是人直接捞到医院来，直接同步取移植的，对吧？
对。
那这个就比较好。那另外一个，我就问一下，那个取器官，这个打不打这个麻醉啊？
这个脑死亡的人还打什么麻醉啊？
好，那是这样的，那就是我就是问一下，那就是好，那这我确定一下，就是星期一到病房来直接找您，对吧？
对。
对，那个器官呢，就是大概你看啊，因为这个事情呢，就是说想早一点做啊。你看，如果是因为还要牵扯到家里人安排来陪啊，什么这个计划时间的问题，那就星期一来要情况好的话，就可以直接住院了，对不对？ 看情况啊。好，行，那就等来了再说了，对吧？好，那星期一见啊，星期一见，好。
追查迫害法轮功国际组织，简称追查国际，成立于2003年1月20日，总部设在美国纽约，在欧洲、澳洲、亚洲和加拿大设有分部，是以追查迫害法轮功的罪行为使命的国际调查组织。
大家刚才看到了啊，这就是我们给大陆调查的几千个电话其中的一个场面。这一次我们特别把这个调查场面拉到了新唐人的演播室，目的就是让全球的人看一下这个真实性。大家也听到了，1-2个星期，在美国这样好的条件下，有1.4亿的捐献的人群，全国发达的网络系统要等多少时间？2到3年，他们1-2个星期。大家可能也会提这样的问题，为什么直接问他可以回答来？这一次就是我们也是多年来啊都没有直接拿到这样他直接回答。那这一次我们想到了一个办法，就是以610办公室的主任、副主任的身份，因为这是他们长期以来直接给他们器官和他们指挥、组织他们一块杀人活动的成员，所以我以这个身份去给他打，他们就没有戒心，所以才问到了这个话。另外我再说一下，就是这件事情啊，我今天再次在这里，美国的国会，在全世界的这个地方，425这个日子，20年以后的今天，再一次向全世界讲述了这个真相，提供了这个证据，呼吁全世界各国政府、正义人士立即行动起来，全面的追查、追究中共的反人类罪行。这不仅仅是此等罪恶应该严厉惩罚，更重要的是，这是拯救人类最后的道德良知，天地之间正义邪的较量，给每一个政府、组织和个人一个全面的道德良知的检验。我愿每一个人在这历史的关键时刻，能够站在正义的一面，选择正义良知，一起来终止中共的反人类罪行。在历史翻过这一页的时候，愿我们每一个人面对子孙后代，能够无愧地说，在这时候，我站在了正义的一面，做了我应该做的事儿。
So the individuals investigated that we just saw on the NTD TV are all president and directors of top level organ transplant hospitals in China, and many are responsible for state level project in the field of organ transplantation. And as well as national and provincial level technical expert. Some are even in charge of organizations dedicated to persecution of Falun Gong. Okay. So the World Organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong was established with the mission to investigate the criminal conduct of all institutions, organizations, the individuals involved in the persecution of Falun Gong, and to bring investigations, no matter how long it takes, no matter how far and deep we have searched, to full closure, to exercise fundamental principles of humanity, and to restore and uphold justice in society. This is our promise to the world, and we will never give up. Thank you very much.
作为追查国际，我们将一如既往，在全球范围内彻底追查一切迫害法轮功的罪行与相关的机构、组织或个人，无论天涯海角，无论时日长短，必将追查到底，行天理，再现公道，匡扶人间正义。这就是我们对人类的承诺，我们绝不放弃。
Thank you very much, Dr. Wang, all the way from New York. Our next speaker is Dr. Maury Bassetti. He's a director of academic program, Victim of Communism Memorial Foundation, and he's an author and a scholar of counterterrorism. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It'll take me just a moment to gather myself. That video was unbelievable. I think the most disturbing part of it for me was when he confirmed, healthy Falun Gong practitioner as normal donor. Unbelievable, unbelievable. So I'm humbled and privileged to be here today with these heroes who are fighting on behalf of human rights, with the chance to speak to you. So 20 years ago today, over 10,000 practitioners of Falun Gong gathered outside the leadership compound of the Chinese Communist Party in peaceful silence. For over 12 hours, they read their book of faith and performed their exercises, conducting the largest public protest in China since Tiananmen Square a decade prior. They even cleaned up after the public security officers watching over them. Indeed, Jiang Zemin, then leader of the CCP, during a Politburo meeting that June, called the April 25th gathering, quote, the most serious political incident since June 4. He added, one may well say that Falun Gong's genesis and rampant outgrowth is a grave political struggle waged by today's enemies in and outside the country, the purpose of which is to compete with our party for the masses, end quote. This is, of course, how communist regimes see free associations and beliefs of the subjects they rule over. Nothing is ever as simple as tens of millions of people simply practicing a faith because it resonates with them. Instead, communists experience Falun Gong, as well as Christianity and other faiths, as a threat to their ideology and power. After the April 25th protest, when Jiang Zemin received a letter from the former director of the People's Liberation Army 301 Hospital, which treats leading party and military cadres, saying that he himself was a Falun Gong practitioner and did not see any conflict between believing in the practice and believing in communism at the same time, Jiang was furious. Rather than realizing that there needn't be a conflict, Jiang pounded the table in front of his Politburo colleagues and complained how deeply these party members have been poisoned. It's often said that the antidote to poison is a counterpoison. Falun Gong can then be said to be a counterpoison, yes. There is a strong case laid out by Ethan Gutman in National Review that the April 25 incident was in fact orchestrated in large part by Lao Gan, the security czar and member of the Politburo, a campaign of nationwide political mobilization against a non-violent target like Falun Gong offered the perfect opportunity to amass power and resources within a regime like the CCP. When Jiang Zemin created the extra-legal 610 office on June 10 of 1999 to implement the order to destroy Falun Gong, he put Lao Gan in charge. What began on July 20th of 1919 was one of the most ferocious political campaigns in the PRC since the Maoist era. Nighttime raids began across the country as Falun Gong volunteer coordinators were hauled out of their beds and imprisoned. In the weeks and months that followed, tens and eventually hundreds of thousands were detained in sports stadiums, then packed off to labor camps for re-education under pain of torture. Sadists in the security apparatus were dredged up to develop the most effective means of inflicting physical and psychological pain in order to elicit confessions and recantations of faith. The best methods, the most horrendous, developed in these dens of savagery like Masanjia in the Northeast, were given awards and promulgated around the country. Along with the widespread physical violence, the CCP defamed Falun Gong in the media. Television channels across the country ran propaganda marathons claiming the practice was a threat to society and the people. The newspapers told stories of the supposed suicide and self-harm caused by Falun Gong, all an especially pernicious form of fake news. As the Harvard scholar Elizabeth Perry writes, quote, "The launching of a full-scale campaign against a single organization of this sort is indeed unprecedented. Not since the suppression of counter-revolutionaries campaign in the early 1950s have we seen such sustained national attention directed to the threat of sectarian resistance, and never before have we witnessed an attack of this kind on but a single target." Some have wondered whether, with the April 25th protest, Falun Gong brought the persecution on themselves. But if there was any doubt that the party's beef with Falun Gong was due merely to a peaceful protest, Xinhua, the state news agency, put the matter to rest when they wrote on July 26th, quote, "One misconception is that Marxist faith is not contradictory with the practice of Falun Dafa. The party members can believe both in Marxism and Falun Dafa. In fact, Marxism adheres to a world outlook and methodology based on dialectical materialism and historical materialism, while Li Hongxi, who preaches that social development was arranged by God, is an advocate of idealism. If a party member believes in Li's fallacies and has faith in Falun Dafa, he will surely betray Marxism, lose his ideology and political capability to differentiate right from wrong, fall captive to idealistic heresies, and finally lose credit as a communist," which I went to this website today and I saw 331 have done that noble thing and repudiated their affiliation with the Chinese Communist Party. That is more people than there are Americans. That made me smile. That made me smile a lot. As the scholar Vivian Xu put the matter, Falun Gong's beliefs may indeed have been seen as threatening to a regime terrified of its popular legitimacy. She writes, "The challenge posed by popular religious beliefs and practices like those of Falun Gong cuts right to the heart of the Chinese state's own logic of legitimation. Falun Gong's teachings stand in the profoundest possible opposition to the present political order. They assail the ethical truths on which the entire political construct is meant to rest. However peacefully they practice their meditation exercises, and however much they may regard politics as being beneath them, those swept up in the Falun Gong phenomenon never had a chance of remaining apolitical in China. With its slogan, Shen, Shan, Ren, truth, goodness, forbearance, you'll just have to excuse my pronunciation. Falun Gong makes almost a perfect counter-hegemony. Truth, but not the state's narrow empiricist truths. Goodness, but not the state's dubious version of benevolence. Forbearance, but not the state's vulgarly assertive wealth and power concept. Precisely because Falun Gong does represent such an absolute challenge, a challenge to the very foundation of the state's authority and legitimacy, government officials insist on complete extermination of the threat," end quote. This complete extermination has even extended to carving up Falun Gong practitioners and selling their organs. One of the most heinous and disgusting acts any political party has committed in human history. The brutal tactics of ideological conversion, first practiced against Falun Gong, 20 years later are now being put to use again against Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. Another example of the CCP's obsession with destroying belief, and another instance of the long-term consequences of the Falun Gong, anti-Falun Gong campaign that began 20 years ago. The right to peacefully petition government for redress must be a bedrock of any legitimate state. Indeed, it is part of the First Amendment of ours. Any legitimate government would meet peaceful protest peacefully, not use it as to further a paranoid scheme and turn around and market the organs of the protesters. I'm honored to be with you here today to mark April 25th as the anniversary of one of modern China's most important instances of peaceful protest, and to wish the Falun Gong community continued resilience in the future. And I look forward to the day when the first thing that we think about when we hear the letters CCP are no longer Chinese Communist Party, but courageous Chinese people.
Present for these very, very good words. Thank you so much. Let's give him another round of applause. Our last speaker is Charles Lee. He's a director of public awareness. WOIPFG is a word just like a world organization to investigate persecution of Falun Gong. And he's a victim and human rights activist as well. His topics, evidence for massive live organ harvesting, are indisputable. Let's welcome Dr. Charles Lee.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Dr. Wang has talked a lot about the organ harvesting on Falun Gong practitioners still going on. We are very concerned because it is very much possible, and the organ harvesting on the large scale on Falun Gong practitioners still going on, because we know that a lot of practitioners leave their homes because they try to avoid the persecution. So China right now has a big tracking system called Skynet. They have more than 500 million cameras on everywhere, the train stations, airports, all over the place. And they have the technology to recognize people's face and the pattern of walking. So it is very much possible those people who leave their home trying to avoid the persecution being caught somewhere else, and then there's, they're not known by their family members, but they're just being caught, and then the organs will be harvested. So I think this situation is getting worse, and we need to really raise our voice and let people know. My speech today is about the real evidences about the organ harvesting. The World Organization to investigate the persecution of Falun Gong has thousands of pieces of evidences. I'm going to talk about 3 of them. The first thing is that we only need to use common sense to know that everything the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, tells is a lie. The example here I want to give is the situation of the organ donation system in this country comparing to what's happening in China. In the United States, there are more than 130 million people who have registered as organ donors. And in 2017, they have about 10,000 deceased donors. This kind of demographic data is showing that the system in this country is focus on those people who have a sudden death, like car accidents or have a stroke, that kind of things. And in 2017, 42% of those people are from anoxia, and the rest will be from head trauma and stroke. So all these people who died is kind of natural causes. But in China, they don't give you these numbers. As Dr. Wang pointed that there's very few donors from the Red Cross system, and the CCP has a platform. They say since 2015 they use all these voluntary donors. The platform is called Give and Receive. They claim that in 2018 they have 300,000 people registered as donors. So comparing to the numbers in this country, which is 130,000, so then we know that the natural death in China in 2018 is about 0.713%, and considering the eligible deaths and usable for the organ transplantation is 1 to 2%. So the calculation should be only 40, about 40 maximum, around 40 donors can be used as an organ donor if what CCP claims is true. Like you have 300,000 people who will register for that kind of purpose. So, it's obviously the CCP says in 2017 they have 5,140 deceased organ donors, and which is like voluntary donors, which is apparently a big difference from the fact. And the other data I want to present is that if you look at the data we have collected from the academic papers published by the doctors inside China, is that almost all the donors are very young, just between 20 years and 40 years old. The average age is about 20-something, 27, 28. But in the United States, the age is like all distributed, like from below 17 years old to over 65 years old, and the average is 40 years old. So, and also the sex distribution in the United States. In the United States, 59% are male and 40% female. The reason is that there's kind of different proneness on the deaths, like the car accidents deaths. In 2017, there are 26,380 male died in the vehicle crashes, but only 10,690 females, which means like males are more prone to be killed in the car accidents. So that's why you see more males. But however, in China, 97 of the so-called donors are male. Only like 3% are female. This is very strange. We don't know why, but this is apparently a different data distribution. Like, and you can see the pattern. Why this difference? Because these people are selected, and all these, the deaths of these people are planned, which means they planned ahead before the operations. So another data is supposes that, of course, the patients in this country need to wait for 2 to 3 years for a liver or kidney, but in China it's only 1 to 2 weeks. So all these things, if you put them together, like you can see the deaths are planned beforehand, which is murder. And the other thing I want to talk about is the brain death, because in this country, most of those donors are brain dead, which means they have their brain are not functioning, but their heart, the blood circulation, and even their breathing system is still being maintained by a machine or something. So that's a brain dead, and it is very practical to use brain dead donors to get the organs because they are in a good condition. So in China, there has not any legal procedure or law enacted in order to define or train the doctors what kind of procedure should be used, what kind of criteria should be used to diagnose the brain death. But all the academic papers, they claim that they have certain percentage or numbers of the donors who are brain dead. And what we have collected is 135 papers which claim that there are about 3,000 donors brain dead among about 5,000 donors. And the other evidence showing that these are all lying is that there is a brain dead expert whose name is Chen Zhonghua from Tongji University in Wuhan. He has been pioneering this exploration on using the internationally accepted brain death criteria to implement in China to get organs from those donors. So in July of 2010, he published a paper saying that up to date, there have been 60 brain dead donors from whom we have taken organs from. And so this is a sharp contrast from the papers we collected, which claim that there were about 3,000 brain dead donors. So this is the things we can see that in China the doctors, they do not know the criteria of the brain dead, and they do not care if the patients are brain dead because these people are just killed on site. So we have many papers that show that the doctors themselves, in their papers, saying that they follow some kind of procedures. From this procedure, we can see that that's actually murder. They actually killed the donors instead of the donors are brain dead or something else. So I just want to give one example because the time is very limited. There's a hospital in Shanghai who is like Fudan University Zhongshan Hospital. This author is Yang Shouguo. His paper says that they have done 291 heart transplant from May of 2000 to April of 2011. What he described is that there were 7 hearts were taken from the brain dead donors, which means the rest of 284 donors were not brain dead. However, in the next page, they describe how they took the hearts out. From among these 298 cases, after 2007, they took the hearts from the 60 donors when the heart had a ventricular fibrillation or after the heart stopped. All the rest was extracted while the heart was still beating, which means these people are not brain dead and their heart is still beating. So it's clearly stated in these papers, they have murdered these people, at least 231 healthy young people. While they, are alive, they were put in hospital and beds and killed. So this is the hard evidence, I believe, and nobody can deny that the mass murder has been going on in China for a long time. And we know that hundreds of thousands of people are being killed regularly. So it is a test of conscience of human being, actually. In this data actually are collected, there's also another thing. For the cause of death in this country of those organ donors, the reason of anoxia increased drastically in the last 16, 17 years. In 2001, there were only 11% of the donors from anoxia, but in 2017, the number jumped to 42.2%. And the reason is that there are a lot of people, especially young people, have overdose, drug use overdose. And we know that there is a so-called a new episode of opium war against this country by the Communist Party. The Chinese Communist Party produced a lot of fentanyl, which is a chemically synthetic opiates. They have exported this fentanyl to this country. And a lot of people dying from this opium war. The number over here is that in 2000, from 2013 to 2017, every year there is a 71% jump on the death of these people who died from overdose. And in 2017, total is more than 70,000 people died in the United States from drug overdose. So we must understand that the Chinese Communist Party not only just kill Chinese people, they kill everybody in the world. So this is like a life and death issue for everybody, for the entire human being. So we cannot, pretend that it's not going to affect us. It is everywhere. So we hope that people can wake up, and the United States government can wake up onto these kind of serious issues, and then we work together to end this tragedy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Li. We'd like to thank you, our distinguished speakers. Your presence and support would not only give hope to tens of millions of people who are being persecuted and suffering in China, but help end sooner the persecution of Falun Gong, one of the largest scale, most severe human rights violations in China and the world. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you. And this concludes our forum today. Thank you very much.